Good morning, welcome everyone. So this webinar is a good opportunity to meet Talkative and have a look at the technology and really review how to help organisations join up website. So I'm Jonathan Sharp. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director of Britannic. You just heard Felix, so if I get him to introduce himself, Felix.
Hi everyone, my name's Felix. I'm the Managing Director at Talkative.
So Felix will be running the session for us today. Before we start, I don't believe everyone's called Daisy on the call, so excluding the Britannic and Talkative people, if I could ask you to take it in turns, which is always a challenge of who goes first, but if you could just quickly introduce yourself, name, role, company, and what you hope to get out of today, that would be great. And then we can kick on, if that's all right.
Well, shall I start as I'm top of the list after Felix? It's Matthew here from Trailfinders. I'm IT Director.
Okay, and anything specific you wanted to cover off today, Matthew?
No, just keen to, we've been talking to Talkative for a while and doing lots of bits and pieces, but keen to see what's new and to try and move it into production. Okay,
brilliant. Okay, who thank you, Matthew. Go next. So there's a dog on the call next.
Brilliant.
So who was to go after the dog?
That's a tough act to follow. I'll give it a go. I'm Mina. I'm the Ops Manager at Citizen Housing. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see what sort of things can be integrated into to Ignite and see what ideas everyone else has and trying to nick some of them, really.
Sounds good. Thank you. And anyone else? Are we Zoom shy?
It's Alan Marley from Carbon Homes. I'm a technical specialist there. We're currently using Ignite and just keen to see what's available.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Bradley from Tandridge District Council, and we're just having a look to see what's new out there, and yeah, just joining to get an overview. And apologies, that was my dog barking at a delivery.
Everyone who's got dogs, they're all used to that, right? Okay, anyone else want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, hi, I'm David from CG Restaurants. We use your system, but don't utilise it to its full potential, and just we use Britannic system, and we want to look at what else is available.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Okay, so I know this can be quite painful for the intro, so I can put everyone out of their misery. Unless anyone else wants to say a quick hello, we'll hand over to Felix and crack on. So should we proceed?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Felix, over to you.
Sounds great. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, today we're going to be showing you a demo of the Talkative system. Mainly with a focus around integration into the Mitel contact center, which I realise that a lot of people on the call will be using today. Sanjay's also said that he's here from Cheltenham Borough Council. So first I want to talk about, just go through a few slides to really set the scene around how other customers are using this sort of technology and really answer the question of why you should be considering joining up your website journey with your contact center. So one of the really common issues we see when we speak to contact centers across private and public sector all around the world is that in most organizations, the customer-facing websites that they operate are still treated as disparate systems from the contact center. And in most cases, contact centers today are still very much focused around voice and focused around phone calls. And yet, if you contrast this with how most customers and most end users today want to interact with organizations, it's going to your website first. So what we see is organizations have digital marketing teams and digital teams that put a lot of effort into designing and curating these online journeys. And yet, when we actually want to contact our customers, there's often a whole new journey they have to go to get into your contact center. And there's a research study done that shows that 90% of customer contact actually starts with the website visit. So the modern customer journey that we see as being the ideal is that we start with a website visit and self-serve where possible. And then if you do need to speak to a human or interact with the contact center, it's done as a progressive journey where you're escalating perhaps into text-based communication first, whether that's chat, a chatbot, email, and then progressing into voice, and then maybe even video or an in-person visit. Now, I think one of the questions we'd always ask you is your website serving to generate customer contact? Do you operate a sales type contact center where you want to get customers on the phone? Or are you looking to do the opposite, where you're looking to increase self-service and actually reduce the number of calls, emails, and interactions into the contact center? So I suggest that someone like Matthew at Trailfinders, the website serves to actually generate calls and to establish as many contacts with potential customers as possible. Whereas perhaps the housing association would want to encourage self-service and to use the website to answer as many contacts or potential contacts as possible. And today, some of the technology we're going to be showing you is actually that all of the different customer contact channels, whether they're phone calls, callbacks, chats, or even video, can all be driven through customers through customer-facing websites. So I think, especially with what's going on at the moment, I think we're seeing organisations realise that remote customer contact and doing that in a digital manner through their website can give them a lot of both efficiency gains, but it's actually falling in line with how customers want to contact us. So the successful contact centres we see with the best KPIs around customer satisfaction and contact centre efficiency metrics very much treat their website journey and their contact centre as one holistic unit, where they're looking at things such as Google Analytics to see which pages are causing people to phone in or to chat into our team, and then also looking at some of the contact centre reports to see why are people calling in, why are they chatting with us, and then using that to iterate on the website and the customer journey so that we're either increasing the number of calls we're getting if we're in a sales environment, or we're actually increasing self-service because we now know what content, what signposting we need to put on the website, because we know on an aggregate basis why our customers are contacting us. So Talkative, the company I work for, we are all about enabling these different contact channels through the website and about delivering them in a way that makes sense to your individual organization's online customer journeys, and then tying them into whatever systems you have in place already. So the main integration we'll be talking about today is with the Mitel Contact Center, but other telephony systems are supported, and we'll also touch briefly on the CRM and Salesforce integrations we provide. We are obviously working with Britannic, So this is a technology everyone on the call would have access to today. And with Britannic's expert system integration approach to deploying technologies, this would very much be a complementary system to your existing contact centers. So the different contact channels that you can offer through a website. I think most people on the call would probably be familiar with chat. Even if you haven't used it, even if you haven't deployed it, rather, you've probably used it as a consumer yourself. But some of the other contact channels that you can actually enable through a website are voice calls. So you can either establish a WebRTC based call, which uses the customer's browser as a phone, or you can trigger an immediate callback from a sales-focused landing page. Video in the contact center, I think it's fair to say, has historically been quite niche, and most contact center managers, if you talk about them using video in your contact center, historically it's been met with a bit of skepticism. But certainly with the current situation, we've seen an explosion in demand for video, and we see video being used in a number of key use cases. So the first one is if you're actually providing face-to-face support. So this could be a healthcare type scenario, or a high-end sales scenario where you want to see the person you're speaking to. But it can also be used as an accessibility tool. So we're currently doing a project down in Australia with an organisation called Deaf Services. And for them, it's about providing sign language through the website without having to download or deploy a specialist video consultation service. And finally, you can use it to show products, whether that's in a sales capacity, or it might be to reduce sending engineers on site for potential repair work if you have a large group of tenants, for example. So those are the channels that you offer. In relation to what that looks like for agents, not only are these channels delivered into your agent console of choice, whether that's embedded into Mitel Ignite or otherwise, you can actually get on the same page as your customers by seeing exactly what pages they've been looking at on your website, what page they're looking at now in a visual format, but also then taking things one step further to use co-browsing. So if you've got an online portal where you're trying to explain to customers how you can help them through that process, rather than sending screenshots back and forth or trying to explain, click on the big red button, you can securely join them, annotate the screen, and guide them to a conclusion. So we talk a lot about the customer journey and the online journey, and what Talkative gives you is flexibility with both the look and feel of the different contact options you might want to offer, but also being intelligent and segmenting exactly who and when you're offering those contact options. So if you're looking to generate calls from your website, you might have a fairly in-your-face user interface that's saying, call us now, and enter your number here that you would make available on every web page. On the other hand, if you're trying to encourage self-service, you might only want to offer chats based on certain online visitor behavior. So if someone has already been on your FAQ pages and they've been there for 2 minutes and they're already logged in, at that point you would offer them a chat so that you can not overwhelm the contact center with inbound inquiries. So all of this is easily deployed with just copy and pasting a snippet of code, and Google Tag Manager is a more and more popular deployment method for this sort of technology, because it allows you to be very granular with your configuration settings without having to use any of your internal web development resource. So it's a nice no-code way of putting this onto your website or web portal. From a reporting perspective, you get all your normal reports that you'd expect through Mitel and through our own dashboard. But crucially, you can report on these contact channels through the lens of your website. And we do this by integrating into Google Analytics or other platforms like Adobe Analytics. So why is this important? Well, this means that you can now see how the contact center is influencing website behavior. So you can say that, or you can see that of my 100,000 website visits this month, I can see that on these pages, these top 3 pages were generating the most amount of chats, and the outcome codes that agents are applying in the contact center are also being pulled through. So you can start to see that this product page is getting a lot of questions about delivery. Maybe our web team need to add some more content there so that in future we get less contacts that aren't providing any additional revenue. Equally, it can be used to identify problems with new digital portal initiatives. And from a sales perspective, if you're spending a lot of money on AdWords, you can see how those AdWord clicks are translating into callback requests or calls into your contact center. So I mentioned already, this can be neatly deployed into your existing contact center infrastructure. If you are using WebIgnite, then this is just another interaction method that's delivered into WebIgnite. Not only does that mean that for agents, they've just got one screen to look at, but from a supervisor perspective, this is being routed alongside your existing contact center workflows, and you're able to report on these interactions in the same way you would for your voice call and your email channels. You can also integrate Talkative into a CRM system. This could be done in 2 ways. So you could either, at the end of the interaction, export all the data into your CRM, so you've got a complete view of the different interaction logs over time. Or you could be taking things one step further and actually integrating the agent console, the agent experience, into a platform like Salesforce. The advantage of doing this would be that when an interaction comes in, you can immediately screen pop the website visitor's details. You can see what account they might have with you, and you can see previous interactions. So I think what we found with organizations that have deployed chat a lot previously, and I'm going to go back to this Mitel slide because I think it's a bit more relevant, is that a lot of organizations have deployed chat. It's often being done in a siloed environment. Normally a digital marketing team has deployed a standalone chat system. And while those systems offer a lot of great features, what you miss out on is the unified reporting and unified workforce management that the Mitel integration gives you. So at Talkative, when we're talking about chat, the way we like to say is we give you the best of both worlds between a pure play chat product that has features like translation and the Google Analytics integration, but also giving you that all-in-one contact center experience, which gives you a lot of efficiency benefits. So I hope you're all still with me. I'm just going to talk about a couple of customer examples and then we'll jump into the demo. Formula One is obviously a household brand name, and I like talking about this case study because as a business, their contact center is actually relatively new. The business itself went through a buyout a couple of years ago, and they went from being quite an old-fashioned business in many respects to offering a lot of new digital initiatives. And from a contact center perspective, they started with an absolutely a clean sheet of paper. They had no legacy telephony to think about. and they very much went for delivering the best online experience they can. So for them, actually only 7% of interactions are phone calls, around 65% are chat, the rest being a combination of social media and email. So what Talkative delivered for Formula One is an integration into their Salesforce environment, but also delivering highly personalized website visitor engagement set of tools. So they're using both chat, voice calling, and the ability to pass through information about that website visitor's account in real time. So that if you've got, for example, an F1 TV subscription, the agent can immediately see the status of your subscription, if you're visiting any races, where you're based in the world, and all that other good stuff. So for them, it's about delivering a website-based contact center that integrates into their CRM, so they've got full visibility of their customers. A Mitel reference site in the retail sector, it again is using chat, video, and co-browsing is Bravissimo. So they were using a third-party chat system whereby it was working well for them, and they were using Mitel Ignite for their phone calls and emails. So for them, launching Talkative was a two-step process. First, they introduced Web Ignite and got a lot of efficiency gains there around integrating email into the contact center workflow. And then they introduced Talkative to bring their chat and video under one roof. And they've seen a lot of efficiency gains around reducing chat abandonment rate. So their target was 10% or a 90% service level, if you will, with online chat. Originally, they're around 75, 80%, but by bringing Talkative in and bringing everything into Mitel Contact Center, they actually brought that up to 96% in 2 weeks of going live. So pretty impressive there. And they've also seen a huge increase in contact center utilization by sheer virtue of having one system handle all of their contact channel workloads. So public sector use case here. What we see a lot with councils, especially at the moment with things like end of year council tax and inquiries about coronavirus, that a lot of efforts are being made to maximize digital self-service as much as physically possible, and chat and online contact that is intelligently offered based on the pages you're visiting and your website visitor behavior are absolutely crucial in supporting this digital self-service strategy. And again, this is a Mitel Contact Center user, so they didn't want to introduce a completely separate system. They wanted to complement their existing investment in telephony and email workflows and have chat be delivered as just another contact channel there. And one of the key aims here is obviously reducing the number of emails and calls into the contact center by meeting the customer or the website visitor and answering their question in real time as they're looking to self-serve. So finally, quite a topical one, this is a healthcare organization that we're working with Britannic with. This is a new Mitel deployment, and in addition to Talkative's video and web chat services, they're using some of the other Britannic products to enable WhatsApp social media integration. So it's a true, bit of a buzzword, but a true omni-channel contact center experience that's being delivered to support end-of-life care in obviously a very tricky time. So what I can do now is walk you through a demo. as this is a slightly unusual webinar for me in that everyone's able to speak back to me, I wondered if anyone had any initial questions at this point. Does the dog have any thoughts?
No.
Great. Well, we'll continue, and perhaps we can do questions at the end. So just to quickly walk you through what we're going to be showing here. So we have a demonstration website with the Talkative script enabled. And here we have WebIgnite. And apologies if you're not using WebIgnite at the moment. But essentially, this is Mitel's browser-based agent client where you can handle calls, you can handle emails, and any other interaction type. In this case, it's going to be Talkative's chat and video. So this deployment to the website, as I mentioned, is highly customizable. Quickly show you a couple of examples from other customers. So here we have an e-commerce business offering chat and a customized user interface here. This is the Formula One example. And this is the other customer we talked about. Each of these organizations have had quite specific needs in terms of what they're looking for from a user interface and look and feel perspective. And Talkative's deployment team was able to work with them to follow their existing brand guidelines and give them an online contact channel experience that is unique to their organization. So what we're going to do is start off with a chat session, and then we'll talk about some of the other features as well. So we're going to be sending an interaction into the contact center now, and we're able to pull through from MICC the positioning queue. And from the agent's perspective, this is just another interaction type that they accept in WebIgnite. So very crucial to underline this, you don't need to have a separate window in which you're going to be taking these chat and video calls. From a supervisor perspective, you can see in real time exactly what your agents are doing in these third-party contact channels, whether they're chat or video. And from a reporting perspective, again, you can see exactly what I'm doing or what that agent and what that queue has done on a historical basis. So we've connected up with the contact center agent, and I can see as an agent the name of this customer, what page they visited, and any other information about them that we may have scraped from the website. So this information could be basket contents. It could be if they're an existing customer with us and they've got a booking reference, we can pull that through and even do a lookup into a CRM or a database of some sort. And it just provides the agent with some real-time context about who we're actually talking to. We can see a bit of information about their device, which is definitely crucial if we're thinking about pivoting this interaction into a voice or video call, where the bandwidth available at the other end matters. You don't want to be offering a video call if someone is on a dial-up connection and has a device that doesn't have a webcam. And we can see some information about what pages this customer has visited. So one of the newer features that we deployed is real-time translation. So I'm going to use my GCSE French to send in a message here. It's probably worth noting that we've just gone straight into a chat session here. We haven't used what we call chat IVR, where you may have to enter in some details up front. You may have to choose the relevant queue you want and answer some basic questions before starting that chat. And we've just gone straight into the session. So here I can see that Jonathan is speaking to me in a language I don't understand as an English-speaking agent. So what we can use is the RealTime Translate tool. So all we need to do is press translate, and this will detect and supports over 100 languages, and will translate it back to us in real time as an agent. I can then respond in my native tongue, either using free text down here, or I can use one of our pre-configured messages. And this will translate back into French, in this case, and say that back to the website visitor. So our company is actually based down in South Wales, in Newport. So you can imagine that there are a lot of Welsh organisations that they have to provide services in both English and Welsh that are getting very excited about this translate tool, which even supports Welsh. But certainly some of the public sector organisations we're working with often have to deal with a small set of inquiries being in French, Spanish, or other languages. So the translate tool can give you a real edge in terms of only offering or only having staff English-speaking agents, but being able to handle lots of different languages. So what we can also do is, in addition to seeing the different pages this customer has visited, we can get a preview of the current page they're on. So this is, I think, used to great effect in retail scenarios where you've got potentially thousands or hundreds of thousands of different product pages on your website. And if a customer is saying, is this item still in stock? You can quickly see exactly what they're looking at rather than getting them to send across a product code or to verify what they're looking at. If we want to take things one step further, we can go into co-browse. So this customer view is not sharing any sensitive details, it's just taking that current page and putting it into an iframe. Co-browse is actually going to, with the customer's permission of course, so here we're going to be accepting this offer. This is going to be like a secure screen share that's limited to the current browser tab we're in. So when this loads up, we'll have a view of what the customer is looking at. So this is used a lot, both to support in the moment, perhaps website issues. So again, a retail example is supporting checkout issues or problems with adding and removing items from a basket, but also to increase self-service by perhaps guiding someone through a digital portal for the first time, so that in future they know where to look because an agent has actually pointed things out to them. So as an agent, I've got this mouse pointer tool here, and I can even annotate the screen to point things out to that customer. From I guess a user experience point of view, obviously co-browse isn't going to be something that you're doing with every session that you're on with a customer, but it can be very useful for those 5 to 10% of inquiries that result in a back and forth of trying to explain what to do. An agent can instantly go in and help the customer in the moment. All of the co-browse session is recorded, so from an audit perspective, if a customer does come back and say, well, you've pressed buy it now for me and I didn't press it, there's an audit trail there to prove otherwise. So we talked a lot about introducing voice into the website. So we've got a few ways of triggering a voice call for this website visitor. So the first would be offering an instant callback on that page, where the visitor types in their phone number, and then that triggers an outbound call from the Mitel contact center infrastructure. So the nice thing about that is you're using your existing telephony to make the call. You're not relying on a third-party callback service that might rack up quite an expensive per minute or per call cost. The other way we can initiate a call is actually using the browser itself to generate a call. So here we've got a green tick next to the voice, and the system has detected this website visitor has a microphone and speakers available. So what we're going to be doing is now offering to pivot this interaction into a call, and we're not asking the customer what their phone number is. We're not asking them to call us. It's going to be a seamless escalation from chat to voice. So as with co-browse, we're making an offer first, and then we're going to be accepting that offer. And we're now calling into the contact center. And I've got an incoming call here, which I can pick up using the Ignite functionality. And what's happened here is, did it quite quickly, but the customer is still in the website. They haven't had to download anything. And they're now speaking to the agent through the website itself. And this is supported on the laptops like I'm on now, but also on tablets and smartphones as well. So if we want to introduce video, we can do just a one-way video stream. Perhaps if we're just wanting for that end customer to show us an issue they're looking at, or it could be the agent is wanting to stream something out to the customer. But in this case, we're going to go straight into a two-way video call. So this is where I reveal my dark corner office that I'm in. But the agent is here, and the customer has to, again, accept any offers before launching the video session. And when they accept, we've got a two-way video call through the browser. And we can make this bigger. And here we can see two Felixes. So one on the right is the agent, and on the left is the customer. And again, no plugins or downloads required for this customer. And as we can show in a minute, you can actually go straight into a video call if you didn't want to start from a chat or voice session first. So yeah, historically, video I think has been a niche use case in contact centers. But I think, yeah, we're suddenly seeing a lot of great use cases come out the woodwork, and a lot of organizations are actively exploring video as a contact channel when in-person visits are obviously not suitable in most cases nowadays. So at the end of the interaction, we can leave some feedback, and the agent can add in some wrap-up codes. And these are all sent to Google Analytics so that the digital team can see this customer was in a chat session, they escalated to video, and they can also see it was to do with an online issue, in this case with a corporate account. So as that information aggregates over time, you can really start to build up a picture about how the contact center is influencing these website journeys. So I wonder at this point if there are any questions. Of what I can quickly do is to show you, obviously this has been a Mitel-centric demo. What we can also quickly show is the Salesforce integration. So here, again, a chat session has come in, and we've instantly seen that it's Jonathan Sharp based on the email address that customer entered. And we can see some information about this contact in Salesforce. And we can apply any wrap-up codes and perform any outcomes in Salesforce right then and there. And then this is what the standalone system looks like. So what we've seen more and more commonly over the last 6 weeks is customers that want to deploy the full-blown Mitel integration, but actually want a standalone system that they can get up and running in a day, and then blend the workload into the Mitel over the next coming months. And the standalone system works in exactly the same way. It's just using Talkative's own routing engine and agent console rather than the perhaps richer experience of blending it into Ignite.
Okay, so I think Sanjay had a question which has been put up on chat. So again, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to speak them, or indeed put them up on the chat interface. But the question from Sanjay Felix was, what other communication platforms does Talkative integrate with?
Sure. So I would say Mitel and Salesforce are the main deep integrations that we offer at the moment. The voice capabilities of Talkative will integrate with any SIP communication platform. So if you're offering, say, the callback and the voice calling, you could get that coming into a Cisco or a Avaya or any other SIP platform. We are currently investigating doing similar integrations with some of the other main contact center players. But this sort of deeper integration at the moment is just available on Mitel and Salesforce.
So maybe after this, if Sanjay's got a particular platform,
yeah, exactly,
we can follow that up with a conversation. Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
Okay. Has anyone got any other questions at this point? I mean, I can certainly ask you some, Felix, if there aren't.
I've got a quick one. You kind of covered social media, but are there integrations with, I suppose, the WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger would be the, I mean, is it possible to integrate the chat somehow from services like that?
So I know Britannic obviously offer both WhatsApp and other social media channels. So I guess perhaps we can take that offline, because I think it really depends what type of messaging integration you're looking for. If you're looking for something to come into Ignite in the same way Talkative does, for example, with the healthcare reference site we were talking about, that is another Britannic product that sits outside of Talkative.
So if I maybe just pick up on that. So one of the things, Matthew, we could look at is potentially using the Talkative solution as the chat interface with the progression through the different channels, and then bringing that into the BizView layer and using that as a part of the orchestration and integration. And within the BizView layer, we of course can bring any other stream and contact in, whether that's social media, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's SMS, and so on. So of course email. So we can bring different channels in, and I think that's something that I know that there are conversations that are already taking place.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions at this point?
Could I just ask one? Felix said that most customers start off with Talkative's own interface and then migrate over to Ignite. Is that because there's a lot of work that needs to be done prior to going straight into the Ignite integration?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that's the case for most customers, but I think it's just something we've seen a lot more commonly recently. I think the main reason is not that the work is cumbersome or complex from an integration point of view. It's more the case that if you don't have Web Ignite already and you're on an older version of the contact center, which we do see quite a bit, that they say, well, we can get Talkative set up tomorrow, and then we'll upgrade the contact center next month and introduce WebIgnite for all the agents, because obviously that's quite a big change for agents. But if you have Ignite already, we wouldn't propose using the standalone system.
So this is about using the open media integration with WebIgnite to deliver Talkative natively into that environment, yeah?
Yes, so I guess maybe that was my fault for maybe insinuating that the integration is quite complex. I think it's more just a case of if you're not on the correct Mitel version number and you're not using WebIgnite already, then obviously those are two things that you would need to do first that perhaps you couldn't do in 48 hours realistically.
Okay, so another question for you, Felix. So if we now consider the end users that are going on the website and wanted to interact through Talkative, to receive service, then what devices are supported and what browsers are supported, and what happens if somebody's using a device or a browser that isn't supported?
Sure. So everything, all the aspects of the communication use just HTML, JavaScript, and WebRTC. So all modern browsers now support WebRTC and the others across all devices. The only browser that doesn't support WebRTC is Internet Explorer. Edge does, as does Chrome, Safari, Firefox. So on the off chance you are using Internet Explorer 11 as a customer, you can still chat, you can still co-browse, but you can't do the real-time voice and video. And in that case, the system would automatically not offer those contact features, and the agent would be able to see why those features aren't available.
But as a consumer, I could choose to use a mobile, a tablet, a laptop, or a PC, as long as it's got any modern browser, and I guess speakers and camera to be able to get the full experience.
Exactly, yes. And one thing we haven't really talked about is mobile apps or native apps, and it's possible to integrate with those too. But the complexity there, I think, depends on how that app is built. But yeah, to answer your question, yes.
So from a point of view of streaming video, it doesn't just have to be someone's face. I could point the camera at something that I want to stream back to a central expert for remote review and diagnostics as well.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for anyone?
No.
No.
No, some food for thought, and perhaps might have some more tailored questions that we can that can take offline and have at a later date. But very intrigued, especially by the video chat and the integration with that in Ignite. That was one of the questions that I wanted to ask about anyway, but we've seen a demo of that. Very encouraged by what we've seen. And probably from what you know about us, we just want everything integrated into Ignite.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, whatever we have.
I think the whole subject of what the impact of everything that's going on at the moment is going to be when we get back to normal is fascinating in terms of video. I agree with what you said at the beginning, Felix, that the amount of zooming and stuff that's going on is definitely going to have a residual effect afterwards, that people's willingness to use video, which, I mean, we did a video experimentation years and years ago, and it just fell flat on its face because people weren't ready for it. And I think that once all this settles down, I think that there's a strong argument to say that people will be much more ready and willing to use it to do interactions.
Yeah, one of the positive side effects of this pandemic is IT and modern technology, because it'd be very difficult, I think, for companies to turn around and say that they don't want to continue doing things in this way when, for the most part, they've had to and have been operating well in this manner.
Yeah, agreed.
And also it's the speed of deployments as well that we've all seen is actually enabling these tools for people to work effectively from home, and the speed in which it's been deployed, which I think is probably that's going to be remembered by a lot of users and business people when they come to wanted to move the customer experience and technology forward.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do when you have no choice.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, we had a plan to roll out Teams and to give demos and stuff, but it ended up being get on it now.
Yeah,
and we got it working. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. I've liked it, especially like I'm intrigued. Yeah, I did have one question. The sort of analytics around what pages on the website generate chat. Is that limited to who we have our chat integration with? Because probably, Michelle, you will know that we have ours through Amy. So would it work for us in that manner?
I think that may be possible with Amy. I wouldn't be able to comment on that. But in our case, it's the Talkative chat engine or the Talkative widget on the website that's sending those events to Google Analytics, so we wouldn't be able to know what's going on with Amy, but that might be something that Amy can do. I'm not sure.
Okay. Michelle, is that worth pursuing, just to know if we can get that level of, because I'm quite intrigued of what pages on the website generate the chat, because for our comms team, that could signpost them into which pages perhaps need more clarity. And which should be their focus. So I'd be intrigued if we can get that currently with the way that we use Amy.
Okay, well, yeah, we can take that offline and speak with and look into that for you.
Fab, thank you. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Not even from the dog?
No, I think we've hopefully we've given a good overview of the art of the possible. This is technology that exists, is being deployed and works well. So this isn't bleeding edge stuff. This is solutions that could be delivered today, and in fact have been delivered. And obviously, tight integration to Mitel Ignite hopefully brings a richer experience for both the customers and the staff as well. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Unless there's anything else you wanted to cover off, Felix, I think that's a good session.
No, that's all. Thanks everyone for joining. I think maybe the slides put the dog to sleep, which is good. And if you do want a follow-up session, anyone on the call, we can actually demo Talkative on your own website, so you can get a better understanding of what things might look like for you.